Hey everyone, this is Dr. Drizzle, and welcome to the National Parks Adventure, Crossing America. So today we are at Pinnacles National Park. A special thanks to the National Park Foundation for having us here. Now Pinnacles is located in Pinnacles, California, and we're actually standing in the Bear Gulch Nature Center. But before we get to all of that, let's meet our newest friend, Ranger Rich. Ranger Rich, thank you for having us here today.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. This is great.
Well, we are so excited since our last call together to meet you and to find out a little bit more about you. But this is going to be the opportunity for you to tell the kids, how did you get into the National Park Service?
Sure. So my path is perhaps similar to a lot of rangers that you might run into. It started with a childhood in the, living outdoors, basically. There was nothing I wanted to do more than wander around in the outside. As a kid, actually, most of my summers were spent down in Pensacola, Florida, out on a place called Perdido Key, which happens to be Gulf Shores National Seashore. It's funny, when I was a kid, it didn't actually occur to me that I was basically surrounded by national parks. It wasn't until much later, when I was in college and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, that the light bulb went off. And I realized, being a park ranger, that might be an option.
So what parks have you been at besides Pinnacles?
Sure. So the majority of my parks have been on the East Coast, and more specifically in the Washington, D.C. area. I started out on the George Washington Memorial Parkway, which is actually a whole string of different parks. I've worked at Arlington House, I've worked at Great Falls Park, and other assortment of places on the George Washington Memorial Parkway. And then other sites, if you look at Washington, D.C., if you ever get your hands on a map of all the different national parks, DC is chock full of different national park sites. I've also worked at Rock Creek Park. I've also worked at a larger administrative unit formerly known as National Capital Parks East. Nobody knows it by that name. It knows it by all of its sub-sites, like the Frederick Douglass National Historic Site or the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House National Historic Site. And I've worked at those as well. Then I've done a little bit of time at Lincoln Boyhood in the middle of Indiana. And now I'm out here at Pinnacles National Park in California on the other side of the country.
Well, I feel like we're family because we spent about 4 years of our life working in Pensacola Beach with Santa Rosa County Schools. And so we've been to those keys, we've been to the Gulf Shores National Seashore, Fort Pickens. And then we have many friends that work in the National Mall area. And our good friend Ranger Rhonda is at Lincoln Boyhood Home, which we just left there a couple months ago. So I feel like we're home, but now you're bringing us to this new place, a new park for us, Pinnacles National Park. What was your background? It seems like you spent a lot of time in the historical world.
Yes, well, so it's interesting. It's probably worth mentioning that pretty much every park, Pinnacles included, has historical. I don't think I've ever been to a national park that doesn't have some sort of historical element to it. That might not be the story that is told most often. So consequently, I found myself at a lot of historical places. That being said, I am often thought of in those historical places as the nature ranger. A great example of this is when I was at Arlington House, we had this big black rat snake that would routinely show up in the house. And invariably, I was the ranger that was called to come get the snake out of the house. Hey, Ranger Rich, the snake's in the house again. Could you come grab that for us? So even though I've spent a lot of my time at National Historic Sites and in big old homes, it's not being in nature was something that I was very fond of and familiar with.
Well, hopefully we won't need to take your skills to heart today and move any snakes out of here. But we are at Pinnacles National Park, so tell us about this place.
Sure, Pinnacles National Park, there's a misnomer that often, well, it's not a misnomer, but it's often known for the fact that it is one of the least visited national parks in California. And if you look at the statistics of visitation, it's one of the least visited national parks in the country. That being said, that's not to say that Pinnacles is undiscovered or unfounded. If you come out here on a Saturday afternoon, you will in fact find that you have many, many friends that have beat you here and probably taken your parking space. So, but Pinnacles is an incredible park. It has this whole wide span of resources. Of course, it has the namesake Pinnacles formations, which are these interesting geologic formations that sort of, line the different hillsides around here. But it also has so much more than that. We have one of the greatest diversity of bees in the National Park Service. We have more than 500 species of bees that we've documented, and we're still counting. We have this great diversity of wildlife, of course, to include the California condor, which we're most known for that. If you're ever interested in seeing one of the rarest birds in the world, Pinnacles, you routinely see them almost every day. We also have great night skies. We have wilderness. And one of the things I often like to tell people about this park is, although we might not have the grandest night sky or the largest wilderness or things like that, what's the wonderful part about Pinnacles, it is so accessible. If you go just north of here, there's the San Francisco Bay Area where there's approximately 10 million people living. And those people, within an hour or two, they can be at Pinnacles National Park. So while maybe someplace like Great Basin might have a better night sky, that's like a vacation, right? To go to some of these other national parks, whereas we could be your Saturday afternoon, which is one of the great resources I find with Pinnacles National Park.
Well, now Pinnacles started off as a national monument. This place is pretty old, right? In the history of national park sites. Tell us how it became a national monument and then sort of how it moved into a national park status.
Sure. So you are absolutely correct. In 1908, it becomes a national monument. Originally just a couple thousand acres just around preserving those geological features. At the time, protecting geological features was one of the things that was being using the Antiquities Act to protect. And then over time, with different land assignments, the park slowly got larger and larger. Today, it's a little over 26,000 acres in size. And for many years, it just had that national monument designation. And a lot of times people maybe don't appreciate, there's I think 32 different names for designations for national parks, and sometimes people get a little confused about that. The important thing to remember is the national monument designation was done with the stroke of the pen by the president, whereas in this case was Teddy Roosevelt. When you become a national park, which had happened for us in 2013, actually President Obama signed that law. It was actually a law that was written by Congress designating this place as Pinnacles National Park, as opposed to it being the national monument that it was before, which is a less formal designation, I guess you might say.
Well, we know that there are over 428 national park sites. And just since we've started this journey a few years ago, that's grown by like 18. So although there are 63 national parks with that designation, there are so many other places with these other designations. I love that the Pinnacles National Park migrated from this national monument piece. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things we'll find here. Behind you, we have a seismograph. Now, I'm assuming there's a reason for that being here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So those pinnacle formations that we talked about and the sort of the original namesake of the park, those actually come from this upwelling of magma that's underground. And that's all sort of related to the fact that, if you're not familiar with it, there's lots of seismic activity in California. In particular, we are about just a few miles away from the San Andreas Fault, which is a fairly famous fault line that runs through the state of California. And so consequently, you can't feel them right now, but we routinely have earthquakes here. Maybe to the human level of sensation, you can't detect them, but scientists that have things like the seismograph can see when those seismic activity, when those earthquakes are happening. And they could be happening right now and you would never know.
So not only do we have volcanoes here, but behind this shoulder, there are caves here. Now, I never would have imagined that. Tell us a little bit about the caves we can find here.
Sure. So our caves are sort of unusual because, well, first off, they're known as talus caves. And if you're not familiar with the word talus, that has to do with rock boulders that kind of come down on rock sides. A lot of times you'll hear about a talus field on the side of a mountain, like a big mountain that you might find in the Rockies. So our talus caves are technically above ground caves. And so what happens is those pinnacle formations that this place is known for, they are these tall spires, and over time, with all that seismic activity, we might not feel the rocks moving, but the rocks, they definitely know. And over time, they've toppled over themselves. And if you could imagine, if you've ever played the game Pick Up Sticks or something like that, where you have a jumble of things on top of each other, that's what's happened here, where those rocks have sort of fallen in between these little canyons in sort of tighter gulches, and caused, created these above ground caves. It's one of the most popular resources here is the Bear Gulch Cave. We have another one too that's known as Balconies Cave. It's like I said, very popular resource. But one thing to know, if you ever get a chance to come visit, is to check the status of the caves, because caves, of course, are another hotbed of biological diversity, to include bats. So we have the Towson big-eared bat that lives here in the cave, and that is a species of concern. We want to make sure we protect it. So when those bats are having their young, we actually will close the caves down temporarily for their protection.
Well, we have actually visited Mammoth Cave, which is the longest cave system in the world. We have been to Carlsbad Cavern, which has these deep caverns, and just recently lava beds. Now, they all talk about something called the white nose syndrome. Is that something that you guys deal with here?
So fortunately, we have not actually detected white nose syndrome in the caves here yet. We do actually, sometimes visitors will reach out and they'll talk about visiting other caves, and if we have any official protocol in place, and as of yet, we do not. However, if you've come from a cave where there might have been white nose syndrome, we do ask you to do things like disinfect your shoes, if just spraying it down with some isopropanol, like rubbing alcohol, that sort of thing. But we're very fortunate that it has not shown up yet. We do keep an eye on it. We have wildlife biologists in the park that monitor that sort of thing. But as to date, fingers crossed, we haven't actually experienced it yet.
Well, this place is definitely not a one-stop wonder. You've got seismographs and volcanoes and bats and bees and wildflowers. So I imagine that you want everyone to see these things. Now, we're standing right now in the Bear Gulch Nature Center. Can you give me a quick background on this place?
Sure. So Bear Gulch is one of the most developed and longest standing locations in the park. If you go back to sort of the beginning history of the park, a few years after that, the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, was established, and consequently we had some projects that happened here in the park to include building some of these buildings. This building we're actually standing in predates that by just a little bit, and this actually was originally a house. Today you could live in, say, the town of Hollister. There's hotels there and that sort of thing. If you went back 100 years ago, that was not so much the case. And in fact, getting here would have been pretty difficult. And so it wasn't unusual for travelers that were coming to visit Pinnacles. They might stay with some of the local ranchers here. But if you were an official visitor, you might actually stay in this building. This was actually kind of known as sort of the VIP location for housing. If, like, the director of the Park Service were coming to visit Pinnacles, this is probably where he would have stayed.
Well, I know that in a lot of parks, one of the challenges are that there's not always rangers everywhere. Like you can't be everywhere. We'd like to clone you, but you can't. So let's talk about this place for just a moment. Wouldn't this be a wonderful place to bring back to life and include all of the things that we've learned about in the park? In fact, you've done that in here. There are multiple exhibits and posters. I have a challenge for our kids if you're okay with it. Can I give it to them?
Sure, that sounds great.
All right, kids, so we're going to look at UN Global Goal number 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities. That's where we talk about how we keep our communities up to date and how we preserve historic places. Now, as you've heard, this place is pretty historic. It dates back into the early 1930s or maybe a little bit before. It was built by the CCC, so we're standing on some pretty hallowed ground here. What I'd like for you to do is do some research on Pinnacles Park. Really dive into the website, check out their resources, find out what makes this place so special. And then I want you to come up with some ideas for creating some new displays in here. Now, as I look around the room now, I notice that it says National Monument on some of these places. So we're going to want you to do some upgrading, some rebranding, if you will, but also remembering where it came from, because it started out as a national monument. Now, I don't need you to come in here and change things up to make it look like a newfangled place. We want to keep the idea of this historic place intact. This paneled walls, this beautiful fireplace. But what can you build in here is a display to talk about those bees. Or I noticed that over on the wall, there are hundreds of wildflowers that live in Pinnacles National Park. We don't want to forget the bats, but how could we create something tactile here where kids could come up and touch and actually feel like they're touching parts of the cave? So you'll also notice that in this place there is a seismograph. Now, it's not working right now, and I'm not sure we want to open it up because it's pretty historic, but how could you build a prototype where kids could pull out the paper and decide what the seismic waves may look like compared to what type of earthquake it is? Ranger Rich, this could be exciting. First of all, it could help you out a little bit and really bring back this place to its original glory. But how cool would it be if parents, families could stop here? There might not be a ranger here, but they could come in and learn so much about the park before they set out to do some hiking. Are you okay with this idea?
Yeah, no, I think that sounds great. I mean, really, too, that's one thing that we struggle with when we're trying to think about what exhibits we might want to establish. You know, a lot of times I have to put my head in the space of younger people to think about what they might find interesting. So definitely, if you know, folks do some research and see what interests them, it's probably true that it might interest other kids too.
I think so. And let's remember to be very accessible in our designs. So you may want to create something for someone who may not be able to see as well. So you could add some braille pieces in there. You might also want to make this a sensory room where kids that have sensory challenges could come in and have this place of peacefulness. We cannot wait to see what you create. Now, you don't have to do the entire Bear Gulch Nature Center. You could choose one piece of the park that really excites you and build that piece for the park. So once all of these ideas come together, we want you to share those with us on social media. Hashtag Expeditions in Education and hashtag Crossing America. Now, don't forget though, Pinnacles National Park and Ranger Rich want to see your ideas too. So you're going to find their credentials running across the bottom of the screen. You know, this could be kind of cool, and it could be something that other parks look to say, wait a minute, kids across the country designed their nature center, because for us, it's been a little while since we were that age. So maybe things that we would find interesting would be boring to the younger ones, because they have some really good ideas. So I can't wait to see what they create, and then come back in a few years and visit this place, and maybe we can say created by from a state around the country. Ranger Rich, I can tell that you love this place, but I think more than that, you just love nature and history and the idea of preserving and protecting. There are kids out there right now that are thinking, yeah, I need to do that job. I want to move rat snakes out of historical places. I want to live where there's a possibility of an earthquake, or I want to visit these caves that are above ground, or possibly work in any other national parks around the world. Can you tell them what they could do now to start preparing for a life in the National Park Service?
Sure, yeah, I would say probably the number one thing to do is to just sort of explore these opportunities and options, you know, kind of try to see where it goes. Look to see if you might have a national park site near you. You know, when I first started, and when the light bulb went off and I wanted to become I realized I wanted to become a park ranger, the first thing I did was I literally walked down the street and walked into my local national park. I was very fortunate that I had a national park within walking distance of my house. But yeah, just going in, volunteering, that's how I got in. My very first summer in the Park Service was actually not as a park ranger, but it was as a volunteer. And I was helping to run junior ranger camps. So there might be volunteering opportunities. But then also when you're looking about maybe your studies, you know, it could be a wide variety of things. One thing I'm always telling people is that the Park Service has this incredible variety of occupational opportunities. Everything from park rangers, we have attorneys, we have pilots, we have plumbers, we have carpenters, we have welders. Up at San Francisco Maritime, they have ship riggers because they have an old ship. So pretty much any job you can think of, there's probably some place in the National Park Service where there might be an opportunity for you.
That is great advice, and I know the kids are probably adding that to their journals right now. In a few years, you may see some of these kids in national parks and they may say, hey, Ranger Rich, I saw you on that video. So thank you for encouraging kids around the country to do good. One of the things we ask our students to do is be good humans. No matter what you believe in or how you may disagree with other people's, the bottom line is just be good humans. Thank you so much for having us here to your place. We're excited to learn more today as we travel around. So thank you so much for joining us today at Pinnacles National Park. A special thanks to the National Park Foundation for allowing us to be here. So on behalf of Dr. Drizzle and Ranger Rich, we are out of here.